"Hand over that Ferrari if your rusty heap can outrun me." Richard Coleman's voice boomed across the company lot, loud enough for every employee to hear the mockery. The 58-year-old black man leaning against the weathered sky-blue 1960 didn't even glance up at first. James Washington had mopped these floors for 15 years, always the first to arrive and the last to leave. His rough hands turned the key that once belonged to his father, a master mechanic who drilled into him that a man's worth isn't in chrome or horsepower, but in the quiet strength he carries. "You deaf old-timer," Coleman sneered, flashing his gold Rolex while phones popped up like paparazzi lights. The CEO thrived on crowds whenever he could remind the little people who ruled the food chain. James finally met his gaze, calm as still water, and the parking lot fell oddly quiet. "I heard you loud and clear, Mr. Coleman. You're putting the entire company on the line against my Cadillac." A ripple of shock rolled through the onlookers. Coleman threw his head back and laughed, clapping like a ringmaster. "Exact. That museum piece versus my $2 million LaFerrari. Miracle happens and you win, the company's yours. I win, and I will. You wax this car every Saturday for a year. Unpaid overtime." Uneasy glances darted between workers. Some muttered that this was cruel. Others hit record, already tasting viral karma. The blood-red Ferrari gleamed like a shark beside the battered Cadillac. James walked to his car, trailed his fingers across the faded paint, and whispered something lost to the wind. Then he turned back with the faintest smile. "Deal accepted, sir." The crowd buzzed. Coleman grinned like a man who'd already won, but a few sharp-eyed employees caught the look on James's face, the same unshakable steadiness he wore whenever he quietly fixed problems executives couldn't solve. While Coleman preened for live streams, James popped the Cadillac's hood for 3 silent seconds. Whatever he did was too fast for cameras, but it would decide everything in the next quarter hour. Nobody in that parking lot realized the faded blue beast carried 3 generations of Washington genius under its hood, and that today, arrogance was about to learn the most expensive lesson of its life. Word of the wager tore through Coleman Industries like lightning. 15 minutes later, the lot was jammed, phones in the air, live streams hitting tens of thousands of viewers. Coleman soaked it up, posing beside his supercar like a cologne ad. $2 million of Italian perfection versus the junk my granddad learned to drive on. Nervous laughter answered him. Longtime staff traded worried looks. They knew James as the man who showed up 2 hours early, who could find any missing file in seconds, who mentored new hires with saint-like patience. HR manager Jennifer Walsh whispered, "This is disgusting. He has kids to feed." Her words drowned beneath the Ferrari's eardrum-shattering revs as Coleman flexed for the cameras. James stood motionless, watching the circus with the serenity of a man who'd already seen the ending. What nobody knew was that this Cadillac wasn't just family history, it was a living monument. His grandfather William had bought it brand new, working double shifts in a steel mill to afford every payment. When William passed, James's father Thomas kept it alive through lean decades, teaching his son that a car can be more than transportation. It can be proof that dignity outlasts hardship. James ran a calloused hand across the dents and murmured, "Dad always said real men are judged by what they do with what they are given." Moments earlier, under that hood, he had awakened 50 years of inherited skill refined in secret, night after night. Coleman strutted over, speaking straight to a live stream. "Watch closely, Internet. Money and tech always crush nostalgia and fairy tales." He delivered the line with venomous charm. James is about to learn his place once and for all. The mob swelled. Secretaries, security, even clients pressed against windows. A petty taunt had become a company-defining spectacle. Young intern Michael Torres slipped through the crowd. "Mr. Washington, you don't have to do this. It's not fair." James gave him a warm, weary smile. "Sometimes, son, the moment chooses you, and the real test isn't winning. It's who you are when they think you've already lost." Coleman's tires screamed again, drowning the moment in noise. What Michael would soon discover, and the entire internet would watch in stunned silence, was that this 1965 Cadillac hid modifications no factory had ever dreamed of. 30 years of father-son weekends, midnight welding sessions, and self-taught engineering had forged a beast in disguise. Coleman strutted up one last time. "Last chance to crawl away with your job, old man." His entourage snickered. For a heartbeat, James lowered his head, and the crowd thought he'd broken. They were wrong. His shoulders weren't sagging in defeat, they were coiled, focused, ready. While Coleman preened for live streams, James slipped into the maintenance shed that had secretly been his laboratory for 5 years. Retired Ford engineer David Chun waited inside, nerves jangling. "James, this is insane. He's vicious." James never paused, tightening a final connection with surgical calm. "My dad used to say every engine has a soul. This one carries 3 generations who never bowed." David had learned the truth months ago. The quiet janitor possessed knowledge that humbled 40-year veterans. James didn't just repair engines, he reinvented them. "Where did you even learn this level of tech?" David asked, staring at hand-built fuel injection components that belonged in million-dollar labs. James wiped his hands on his ever-present rag. "When I was 12, Dad brought this car home dead. Blown motor, fried wiring, the works." He looked at me and said, "Boy, if we can resurrect what others throw away, nobody can ever break us." 6 years of nights and weekends later, we had something no factory ever built. He closed the hood like a priest shutting a tabernacle. "Some things can't be bought, David." Outside, Coleman was still bragging, 963 horsepower, F1 DNA, while James walked back to the starting line and flipped a tiny hidden switch on the dash. 2 secretaries raised handkerchiefs. 200 phones pointed. Hashtags exploded worldwide. Coleman revved until the asphalt shook. "Last chance to beg, janitor." James simply adjusted his mirror and whispered to David, "Pride goeth before a very expensive breakdown." Jennifer Walsh counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! The Ferrari launched like a missile, tires screaming, smoke billowing, already a football field ahead. Then came the sound, sharp, metallic. Wrong. Not from the Cadillac, from the Ferrari. Warning lights exploded across Coleman's dash. Temperature spiked. Power bled away. The $2 million machine coughed, roared sickly, and began to die. Coleman floored it in panic. James flipped the hidden switch. The Cadillac woke up. The gentle idle became a thunderous growl that rattled teeth. 30 years of forbidden engineering unleashed. Custom hybrid power, secret boost, aerodynamics no 1965 blueprint ever imagined. The sky blue relic devoured pavement, closing the gap like a cheetah at a wounded gazelle. Michael Torres screamed into his camera, "What is happening?" The Cadillac flew past the dying Ferrari as if it was parked, crossed the line in a blur of blue, and rolled to a calm stop. 50 meters short of victory, Coleman's LaFerrari coughed its last breath and rolled dead. Hundreds of cameras captured the CEO, red-faced, sweating, pushing his $2 million toy the final humiliating yards while the janitor waited, hands in pockets, calm as sunrise. Coleman staggered over, gasping, "How?" James wiped his hands on his rag. "Research, Mr. Coleman. You should have done yours." David Chun stepped forward with a thick folder. "Engine number 477891. Active recall for 8 months. Critical overheating under stress. You never bothered with the fix. Third defective Ferrari you've bought in 2 years, actually." The crowd roared. Phones zoomed in on official recall documents. Coleman went ghost white. "How do you—" 15 years cleaning your office. People who think they're untouchable leave everything lying around. Jennifer Walsh approached, holding fresh papers. "The board just watched the live stream. Unanimous vote. You're relieved as CEO effective immediately for conduct unbecoming and catastrophic brand damage." She handed over one final sheet. "And per the public terms of your own bet, witnessed by thousands and recorded forever, James Washington now legally owns 51% of Coleman Industries." Dead silence. Then the parking lot erupted. Coleman screamed that it was impossible, that a janitor couldn't run a company. James stepped forward, taller than he'd ever seemed. "I don't want your company, Coleman. I never did. I wanted you and everyone watching to find